over and under for individual players. All right. They only have like 20 available. We're going to go over all of them, man. Pick out our favorite ones. There are some that stick out huge to me. Easy money, Jason. Easy money. A lot of this depends on the health of the player, man. But if the player stays healthy, dude, I'm almost guaranteeing these picks for God's sakes. And hey, coming up soon, I do want to use when they have the entire population of the NFL, Jason, in the DraftKings database on over and under. I'm going to be ranking every single one of those, or making a table and see how Vegas ranks their players compared to what we do, and see what we can learn from Vegas, man, what they believe in this season. And I'm going to really lean into Las Vegas and gambling with fantasy football rankings this offseason. So stick around for the players that we have, man, and then come back later for the players that we will have in the future, okay? So, Jason, we got the news and the brews. I got the fucking brews. I got the news. There's only like 3 things, but one's super important, so stick around for that. But this show needs help. God damn it. This show needs major help, okay? I'm in a dark room. My parents are in the other town, or in the other room. They're probably like, did he just say, God damn it? Disowned. Jason, please tell the public how they can help the show. We need it.
Tyler's not joking. Oh my God. Yeah, if you made it this far and enjoyed 2 friends talking about fantasy football, then please hit the subscribe, press the like. We like the likes. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about over and unders. Is there certain players' predictions or bet line, stat line, bet line that you want to share or go over? Let us know in the comments. We're also on the radio on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We got a Patreon. If you guys are feeling friendly on all of our videos, we got a little thank you button. Appreciate you guys.
All right, dog. You ready for the news and the brews?
Yeah, dog.
Okay. I just got this. This just came across the fucking news desk about an hour ago before I had to eat dinner. Brandon Ayuk could be ready to play by mid-season. That was the fucking news report. Now, I know that he got injured. I knew that. I had not been thinking about it much. I have been saying, Jason, that there will be people on the 49ers that will be huge discounts this year. So now I'm looking at Jawan Johnson and Ricky Pearsall with Ayuk. It was a huge dud last year, and now he's going to be coming back mid-season. So, oh my God, man. Who would you rather have, Jason? Are you going to roll the dice on Ricky Pearsall super late? Or maybe get like Jawan Johnson. He's probably going to be going in like the 6th or 7th round.
I want Brandon Ayuk.
So I'm not doing this year. You know why?
Why?
I drafted Jonathan Brooks last year, so I'm not doing it. If you're not coming back within like 4 weeks, maybe even 6, I don't know, man. I need a fucking ironclad timeline for you to return after drafting Jonathan Brooks last season. So I'm not doing it.
Okay. So who would you rather get?
Oh, well, I think I'm going to get Jawan. Dude, Jawan Johnson he has showed his upside as like fucking number 1 wide receiver in the league. So I love that. So I'm probably going to go with that over him. And even when Brandon Ayuk comes back, I do think it's going to be Jawan Jennings, God damn it, picking up the slack of Debo leaving and being the number 1 wide receiver. So Ricky Pearsall does have, he's the fresh new face. People are going to gravitate towards him. I would much rather go Jawan Jennings in the mid rounds. And then here we
go. Yeah, okay.
And hey, I got to cover this, Jason. I got to cover this, all right?
Okay.
Diggs, 3 years, $69 million to New England. He's excited because he heard Drake May is just like Josh Allen. And with Josh Allen, he was a top fucking 5 wide receiver. So what are you expecting from Stephon Diggs?
In the later rounds, I do kind of like this pick. I think this helps out Drake May, helps out Stephon Diggs. But, when I see a team, there's always a number 1 wide receiver, number 2 wide receiver, number 3 wide receiver. I think the Patriots have nothing but 2s.
Jason, what was the text message I sent you?
It was that. Yeah, it was exactly that. I don't think they have
3 wide receiver 2s on there. I didn't know. Dude, Kendrick Bourne's only like 24, for God's sakes. I thought that fool was fucking 34.
Stephon Diggs is probably going to get a lot of targets again. I think he could be some value in the later rounds, yeah. But this is making me like May more.
So, would you pick him up in the 4th round?
Diggs?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
So you're thinking like 6th, 7th round? Or are you talking later than that?
Yeah. I'm not getting him in the 4th. There's too many. There's too many other players in the 4th. This guy, he's 31 years old, coming back from an ACL injury. Now he's going to be on the Patriots.
Yeah. I guarantee, dude. People, I bet you, I'm not going to get him because people are going to push him into the 4th round. I bet that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Corion just wants everyone to know he's here with the trophy, the champ.
What's up, Corion?
He's always got the emoji with the champ.
Hope you love that trophy.
Shades.
Hope you're taking care of that trophy. Hope you shine that every single day.
Olaf, news, brews, dudes.
dudes, news, bears, dudes, fucking. Yeah. Anyways, what's up, guys? What's up, Corion? What's up? Olaf. All right, man. So another thing, Jason, we got to go over. I was super excited to begin the show last week because, hey, we just got news that Jameson Winston, deep throat and W's, was signed with Malik Neighbors, man. Malik Neighbors was second in the league in targets behind Jamar Chase. So I was super fucking pumped for that. And then guess what, Jason? Russell Wilson's ass had to go sign over there. So Malik Neighbors, would you still be interested in him? I know we're not fucking interested in Russell Wilson. Maybe even Tracy Jones Jr., the running back there or whatever. I can't remember his name. I had him last year. But yeah, Jason, how do you feel about where you should draft Malik Neighbors?
Where to draft him? I tell you what, I don't think he's getting a bump. I don't think he's getting a bump.
He was going like, dude, in the end of the 1st round. So do you think he's still a 1st round wide receiver?
Oh my gosh. I don't know, man. What we've seen from Russell Wilson the past like 2-3 seasons is not great. I don't love it. I don't think I could get Neighbors in the 1st round.
Dude, I don't think I'll get Neighbors in the first 2 rounds. So I'm not getting Malik Neighbors this next season. And I think that sucks. Because I really kind of wanted him with Jameson Williams. I was like, fuck, dude, I hope he falls in the 2nd round. I'm going to draft his ass.
Yeah, that would have been sweet.
Yeah, so I hate that, Jason. All right, let me share some stuff and let's get into this. So, Corion, get your shot box, dude. Hey, you sound like that's what you say to Joe Pesci, and then Joe Pesci goes home, comes back, and beats you to death. So watch out. Talking about, you know what movie I'm talking about, Jason?
Is that Casino?
Goodfellas. It might be Casino. I don't remember. It's one of those. I've seen in both of them like 1,000 times. All right, I'm going to share some stuff real quick. All right, you ready for this? But we are going to start with Jason's players. Jason, give me a player that you like the over and under on going into next season.
I think let's go with Joe Burrow.
All right, so we're going wide quarterbacks.
Yeah,
Joe Burrow.
You're going to see a trend with all of my players. You might actually see it in the first one that we're talking about here. Joe Burrow, let me get my notes. 4,150 yards for the season. The over and under. You know where I'm going, Tyler?
Yeah, I'm like 4,150 over and under.
Yeah,
I mean, dude, that fool threw for almost 5,000 fucking yards this last.
So you know I'm going to be going. So you know I'm going to be going over then.
Yeah, I love the over there.
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to engage, Tyler. I'm trying to get you engaged.
And their defense, I was just like, dude, like how they got T. Higgins back. They got everybody back, and then their fucking defense is gonna be terrible again. So
yeah, I got some crazy stats for you right here.
Go for it.
3 out of Burrow's 5 seasons, he has thrown over 4,500 yards. The other 2 seasons, he only played 10 games due to injuries. Right. He averaged higher than 260 passing yards per game in seasons with 10 or more games played. Do the math. When Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Joe Burrow started and finished a game last season, Burrow threw over 300 yards 6 out of the 11 times with a few 400-yard games sprinkled in. The Bengals defense gave up 25 points per game last year, and it doesn't appear to be getting any better. So when the defense gives up a lot of points, Burrow will need to put up a lot of points. History will repeat itself. Burrow is an elite pocket passer who was first in pass attempts in 2021. He's top 3 in back-to-back seasons in pass to run ratio per game for passing. They had the same OC last year coming back. Where, I think the safe bet, this is probably one of the safest bets I'm going over, the over.
Yeah, and so Joe Burrow, man, throwing for 4,100 yards, and he doesn't fucking run the ball, man. So, like, I don't understand where they came up with this. So, and especially, like, even the touchdowns, Jason, his over and under for touchdowns is 33.5, dude. You're telling me that Joe Burrow can't – that's like Ben Roethlisberger numbers. And this guy's got 2 elite wide receivers. So we'll talk about this later, but T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, they have a touchdown regression chart on fantasypros.com. They're both top 10. So Vegas is looking at T. Higgins and Jamar Chase's numbers. They're cutting them fucking way down, and Joe Burrow. So Vegas thinks that the Bengals offense is going to take a huge step back next year, and I do not understand why. Like, do they factor in health? Like, hey, man, they've never all three been healthy for, whatever. And T. Higgins only played like 10 games this last year. So even with T. Higgins injured half of the fucking year, Joe Burrow still went off. So I just don't understand this bet, Jason. I would bet money on the fucking over for yards, which you were saying 41.50.5. And then definitely on the touchdowns at 33.5. I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, Jamar Chase, he was a Triple Crown winner, so I guess that's obviously automatically you have to say he's up for regression this year. And like I said, for both of them, they were both at 13% in touchdown rate last year. That's like 4% higher than the league average. So some regression, but it's like we saw how powerful this offense can be with Joe Burrow back there. I think the only thing holding back these players are injuries. And that's something I'll talk about a little bit later, too, when we talk about T. Higgins.
Oh, fucking A, dude. And then real fast, Jason, I'm kind of like, I was looking at these, like, what is Vegas telling us? Jaden Daniels, they're expecting him to kind of stay the same, maybe even take a little step back in passing yards. I think that's totally fine. That's reasonable. And then touchdowns, they're kind of keeping that the same. So Jaden Daniels, they're not doing anything extreme. Patrick Mahomes, 4,000 pretty much. 27. I mean, I think he's going to have a same, very similar season to last year. Josh Allen, this feels like clockwork, man. Like, he's like almost 4,000 yards and a shit ton of rushing touchdowns, about 30 passing touchdowns. So they think he's going to do the same as well. Joe Burrow, they think, is going to take a huge step back. I don't get that. Then they look at Lamar Jackson. I'm like, holy fuck, dude. Jason, Lamar Jackson, I did not realize this, threw for over 4,000 goddamn yards.
Yeah.
Threw for 41 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So
we'll be going over that here in a minute.
Okay. So I'm just doing a quick overview. I was like, that's crazy. And then Jalen Hurts, very similar season. And Sam Darnold, huge regression. And that is to be expected because we preached about the Vikings are just a quarterback's dream. Now he's going to a quarterback nightmare with even less opportunity. And I know we're not going to talk about Sam Darnold, Jason, but he threw for 35 touchdowns last year. Do you think that he will throw for 20 touchdowns this season?
20?
Yeah. Because I think the yardage, I would go actually under on his yardage. But then I saw his touchdowns, man, like only at 20.5. And I was like, fuck, dude. That's a tough one for me.
What did Geno Smith just do in Seattle? Did he get like 22?
Yeah, it was something like that. I mean, I'll look it up real fast, but
that one's gonna be tough. That's a tricky one. That's one I'll probably actually end up staying away from.
Well, I really want to do Sam Darnold because I was like, oh yeah, dude, like give me the under on those yards. And then I saw the touchdowns. I was like, oh shit, dude, Vegas is like fucking nuts, dude. Oh yeah, I looked up Sam Darnold. I'm an idiot. I need to look up. I was all talking Sam Darnold. I looked up Sam Darnold. Geno Smith. So I would actually stay away. I like the yardage there, but that is a scary situation for me. I would stay away from that if I could. And then Geno Smith threw 21 touchdowns, Jason. So yeah, they're thinking he's gonna be no different than fucking, but that was with an offensive coordinator that threw the ball all the time, and now they want to run the ball even more. So
focus on the run. So yeah,
you know what? I think I'd be tempted. I was gonna say I think I would take the under on the touchdowns and definitely the yards. Yep. It's not one of my favorites though.
No.
All right, Jason, you ready to go over something for me?
Yes.
Let's switch it up. I'm gonna be jumping all around here. There's only one goddamn running back, dude, that you could even bet on right now. It's Saquon Barkley. Why is that? I do not know. But right now they're like, 1,500. Do you think he'll get more than 1,500 rushing yards, Jason? What do you think?
Dude, that's like, yes.
That's 500 rushing yards fewer than what he got last time, and he didn't even play. He didn't even play week 17. So I was like, if this guy stays healthy, and we'll talk about Adrian Peterson in a minute, because I was like, what is going on here? Like, why do they think he's? I thought his over and under was going to be like 1,700 yards, maybe 1,650. I saw 1,500. I was like, holy shit, dude! I would take that in a second. His over and under for touchdowns, Jason, only at 11.5. with all the touchdown vultures and leading the league, Jason, as far as being tackled on the 1 yard line, still, they think he's going to take a step back in rushing touchdowns. I was like, what the fuck are we doing here, dude? So I love the over for yards, and I love the over for rushing touchdowns as well.
So I get the rushing touchdowns. I understand that because a lot of his rushing touchdowns came from further down the field, 40, 50, 60-yard plays, and that's hard to do again. That's hard to repeat, those big plays. Get another season with 6 touchdowns for 50 yards out. That's difficult to do. So I understand the regression when it comes to the touchdowns, but
I'll tell you something. I'll tell you what's difficult to do. All right. He was second, Jason, in red zone rushing attempts with 61 red zone rushing attempts. He only turned into 6 fucking rushing touchdowns. And he was number 1 in yards per carry in the red zone at 3.6. 6 of the 9 red zone attempt leaders had double-digit touchdowns. So he should have had at least 4 more rushing touchdowns from the red zone just this year. And it could have been, had he had like a great year, he could have had 15 of those rushing touchdowns. So there's as far as progression, he should have 4 more rushing touchdowns from the red zone. So I'm adding that right now, dude. What the fuck? And then it's like, what, dude? Saquon Barkley had been tackled at the 1 yard line, a league high 11 times. 10 of those became Jalen Hurts rushing touchdowns. So even when he was tackled at the 1 yard line, he literally got none of those. All right. And now they're talking about the tush push. They might change that tush push rule, Jason, to nobody being able to push Jalen Hurts, which I still think he's going to get a ton of fucking touchdowns. But what are you going to say?
If that happens, holy shit. If that happens, Saquon Barkley, 20 touchdowns.
But as far as red zone rushing attempts, his efficiency in the red zone, dude, 3.6 yards per carry in the fucking red zone, dude. So I was like, and you look at the list, everybody with red zone opportunities gets double-digit touchdowns, man. And he's the most efficient runner out of those. So he had a terrible year in the red zone. And I get that he had some big long touchdowns. I mean, we saw that all the time. That's still, he's still going to have that in his cards because of that offensive line. And we'll talk about how they stack the box here in a second for the yardage. But as far as touchdowns go, Jason, I love the progression in the red zone for Saquon Barkley and the tackled at 1 yard lines with Jalen Hurts getting 10 of those. I don't see how that happens again. Like, if he gets half of them, that would still fucking suck. He got 10 of the 11, for God's sakes, dude. So what I'm trying to say here, as far as the over on touchdowns, I love Saquon Barkley for that. So I would bet $20 right now. I might get fired tomorrow, so I have no idea.
Yeah, I do like the over on the yards. I do like that.
But I didn't convince you on the touchdowns with that stat?
No, not really. Because even like when it wasn't at the 1 yard line, they were doing tush push from like 2 and 3 yards out, which, I mean, I feel like it sucks too for Barkley. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, so we got to hope that he's going to remain the same in the red zone and shit, what am I trying to say?
He's not trying to stay the same, dude. Like, if he stayed the same, it's worst case scenario in the red zone.
Yeah, and I meant like yards per carry, and then hope that he doesn't get stopped or tripped more often. I mean, 11 times, is that really a lot?
Oh, that was literally with 2 games left. I could not find the stat, but I found the tweet from the Eagles. I mean, anyways, I think it was like week 16 or something, like week 15 when that came out.
I wonder what DeAndre Swift had the year before that, because I heard something about DeAndre Swift having that same issue.
Yeah, DeAndre Swift.
The Philadelphia curse.
Yeah, and then as far as yardage though goes, Jason, I'm like, oh my god, 500 yards less. Fucking give me the over on that. And my case there is he was 7th in missed tackles with 25, so he's not getting old. All right, Derrick Henry was number 1 for God's sakes. I'm drafting Derrick Henry next year if I can. But Saquon Barkley still elite stats as far as if you're looking at getting old or whatever. Not so much. Number 2 in rushing yards over expected per attempt. So that is what Vegas is looking at, Jason. They're like, oh, shit. What was given to him, he was getting even more. But if you know Saquon Barkley and that elite talent, I'm okay with that. That's the way it should probably be. 8-man box, Jason, only 21% of the time last year. That was 22nd highest in the NFL. So the way the Eagles play, They literally ran the ball more than anybody fucking has in 10 years last year, and he still only faced 8-man boxes, the 22nd highest rate. So the way the Eagles are constructed, you cannot stack the box against Saquon Barkley. So he's not showing age because of missed tackles. He's not going to get stacked boxes. And then I was looking at Adrian Peterson because I was like, you know what happens to these people with he led the league, Jason, with 345 rushing attempts. That's kind of crazy. And then they gave him a huge contract, which I love. So I don't see him falling off. Maybe the year after next, I might think about it, but still. Adrian Peterson had 348. So Saquon Barkley, 345. Adrian Peterson, 348 for 2,000 yards. And then the next season, it went down to 1,266 yards in 2 less games. So I'm a Vikings fan. That's the only kind of comp I can find for Saquon Barkley, 2K stuff like that, like a power back. That Vikings team, Jason, Christian Ponder's rookie year was the 2,000 yards. Then Christian Ponder played fucking zero quarterback play, dude. Terrible. God-awful. And he still had 1,200 yards, dude, in 2 less games. So, I mean, he could have almost reached 1,500 yards maybe with 2 good games. So I'm looking at even Adrian Peterson following year had a good chance to still be an amazing running back, hit that 1,500 yards. But we're looking at Jalen Hurts and those 2 wide receivers and Dallas Goedert, man, and the offensive line. The Vikings had fucking, I don't know, dude, Percy Harvin and some shit. Maybe Stephon Diggs, and that was it, dude, with Christian Ponder taking a shit all over the place. So that was why Adrian Peterson fell off. None of that works for Saquon Barkley. So I'm looking at not getting old, rushing attempts, 8-man boxes. I love Saquon Barkley getting way more than 1,500 rushing yards next year. I would bet plus on the 1,650.
Do you think he has a chance to get 2,000 again?
I think he's got a great chance to get 2,000 again. So I've got no issue with this, dude. Saquon Barkley is one of the greatest talents to ever come out of the fucking combine. And he's on one of the best offensive constructed teams of all time. So it's just different, man. So that's where I would lean heavily towards the over there.
Wouldn't that be crazy? 2 back-to-back seasons of 2,000 yards rushing.
But did you think that's crazy, though? 8-man boxes, only the 22nd highest rate, Jason, 21% of the time. Kyren Williams was like goddamn 7% for 2 years in a row. But still, what they're doing there, and they still don't stack the box because they can't.
Yeah. Well, when you have the talent, even though, Jalen Hurts wasn't throwing the ball that much, when you still have the talent of A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, it's hard to stack the box. Even with Jalen Hurts running afterwards. Did you see Corion's little stat? He said Swift had 6 plays stopped at the 2-yard line or less. I went to Hurts. So, yeah.
So 11 with 3 weeks or 2, a couple weeks left, too.
Yeah.
So Saquon Barkley was even a higher offender. Thank you, Corion. You're the man, dude. And then, so Jason, did I change your mind at all or just reinforce it?
No, but you got me thinking the touchdowns is just that's a little hard for me.
The touchdowns, man. I know.
But you know what? If the touchdowns happen, I'm not going to be like, oh, what? I'm blindsided. I'll be like, well, yeah.
Dude, he could literally have I would not be surprised if he went fucking LaDainian Tomlinson with 20-something touchdowns.
Holy crap. He's got to get in the passing game more if he's going to do that.
He actually had a lot. He was 9 receptions on 11 targets in the red zone, and that was higher than almost everybody else with a lot of attempts. So I was surprised by that as well.
So when he got in the red zone is when they actually started using him.
Yeah, but they would also run the ball fucking 3 times in a row, and he'd pop a 80-yard touchdown.
Yep.
Half the time. So I get it. I get where they're getting the regression, but there's so much progression in the red zone. So that's why I like it. All right, Jason, who's next?
Shit, it's my turn. I think we're going back to quarterback. Different category, though, and we're going to do Lamar Jackson.
Dude, this is the fucking easiest one in the world because I cannot believe he did so well passing the ball last year. Rashad Bateman, especially, as far as progression, holy shit, or regression.
I feel like this team is like the 2023 49ers.
They were super efficient,
Yeah.
So, Jason, 34-50. That is only 150 more passing yards being given than to Jaden Daniels. So they are knocking him down a lot on passing yards.
Yeah, I'm going to go over his touchdowns here, which
Which is the
28.5
best
is,
one.
I mean, okay, right now, Tyler, what do you say? Do you think he gets over 28 passing touchdowns next year?
I would. I would
I
say he
did.
gets like 30, like 32 or 33. I get where he fucking went off.
I
But to go
did
to
the
from
over.
41 to 28 it was crazy.
I did the over as well. Lamar has thrown over 28 touchdowns twice in his career. With a touchdown rate of 8%, his average is just 5%, which is a league average. So he can regress some, but he had 41 passing touchdowns last year. So he can regress. Rashad Bateman finally had a good year, and defenses had to worry about Derrick Henry, talking about the whole 8-man in the box. Because Henry was second in rushing and had 18 rushing touchdowns, he was also first in 8-man in the box percentage at 33% of the time that he was lined up. So that takes, if people don't know this, that takes a defender out of the secondary and into the box, and that leaves space for wide receivers just to run across the field. That's awesome for quarterbacks. The focus on Henry allows Jackson to have the second best completion percentage inside the 20-yard line, which led to 32 touchdowns inside the 20 last year. And then also with the game script. The game script is pretty important too, because the Ravens had the second highest game script, which means they played with the lead for most of the season, but they still put up the third most points per game. What does this mean, Tyler? It doesn't matter if they have the lead; they still want to score 50 points.
Their game plan, like Lamar Jackson, is game script proof. Like they could go down by 30, that's great. They could be up by 30, and he's still fucking throwing for 41 touchdowns in a year.
Yep. So then the Ravens, their offensive line was third in pass block win rate. Their sack rate was sixth when facing the blitz at 5.2%. And fifth when facing 4 or fewer rushers at 4.6%. The O-line has earned Jackson the highest time to throw in the league last year. So he is never on his booty, and he waits as long as he can until the wide receiver could get open, and that's why he also has 9 touchdowns outside the 20-yard line last year. He was able to do those big plays because he was holding on the ball, and he was able to hold on the ball, run around a little bit until he found a Rashad Bateman deep, right? A cornerback, a defender could only cover so long. Try it. Try to cover your buddy for out in the field for at least 4 seconds. If you're as out of shape like me, good luck. And everyone is back, Tyler. Everyone's coming back next year, including offensive coordinator Todd Monken. 29 touchdowns should be his floor in 2025.
Oh, I mean, totally. That's the world's burning down, man. If he gets 28 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And I do want to point out with Derrick Henry there, he did not. I mean, I know this was a commentary and stuff and radio talk. I haven't looked at the stats yet, but he did not run the ball nearly as much as far as rushing touchdowns and stuff. So with Derrick Henry there, he's going to be throwing the ball a lot more. Now, I do want to say Rashad Bateman, because if you look at the wide receivers, Rashad Bateman, I think, led the league in reception to touchdown percentage rate, which is what we like to do when we want to regress people. So if you got a really high, every 12, I think it was every 12 receptions, he had a touchdown or some shit like that. So if you want to take that way down, you would factor that into Lamar Jackson. But Jason, man, Zay Flowers was amazing his rookie year. He did so bad last year. It would not surprise me if he picked up all that slack and took all that shit from Bateman and progressed while Bateman regressed. So, but I'm just sitting here shaking my head dude, Lamar Jackson threw for fucking 4,200 yards and 41 touchdowns, and Zay Flowers was a huge bust. If you told me that, I would have told you, I would have bet $1,000 against it, man, before the season started. So that is a huge thing for me. Now I'm thinking Zay Flowers this is making me think that Zay Flowers is somebody I might want to target if I can get him a little bit later.
Rashad Bateman had 9 touchdowns last year, receiving touchdowns. That's a touchdown rate of 20%.
Is that what it was? 20%? I knew there was a 2 in it. I thought it was 12 because I was like, fuck, dude, everybody else is 9. Jamar Chase is 9.7, and that's high. So Jamar 20% is fucking insane. That's crazy, dude.
7% higher than Jamar Chase, and he was a Triple Crown.
So there is some regression here for Lamar Jackson, but fucking 13 touchdowns or whatever? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Okay, Jason, I like that one a lot. I think Lamar Jackson, I bet, oh my God, touchdowns on the over, I'd be all about. So I like that one. All right, next up, man. You ready for this, Jason? Talk about the Triple Crown.
Let's hear it.
All right. So Jamar Chase, his over and under is at 1,323 yards, so 23.5 yards. He had 1,700 yards last year, Triple Crown winner. And then also, dude, over and under for touchdowns, I like even more. 10.5. He scored 17 fucking touchdowns last year. Wide receiver 1 finish and going as wide receiver number 1 in next year's draft. Okay, so let me go over my notes real fast. So if you look at just Jamar Chase in general, his receptions and targets have increased each season, Jason. And this last year, he led the league with 175 targets. So in the beginning, he didn't get the targets. He was just kind of a big play guy. Over the years, man, his yards per, yards per reception or whatever, and targets have gone up tremendously. So he's running a lot of different routes, short and long now, relative to those first couple of years. Led the league with 175 targets, with Higgins playing 12 of 17 games. So even with, I know that Higgins, if you told me Higgins missed half the season and he led the league with targets, I was like, I don't know about that. But Higgins only missed 5 games and he still led the league with 175 fucking targets, man. So there's a good chance he's going to be top 5 targets next season. He also led the league, Jason, the NFL in red zone targets with 33. He only converted 7 of those into touchdowns. So let's see, he had 17 touchdowns. 7 of those came from inside the red zone, and then fucking 10 of those came from long, Jason. And I think that's what Vegas is looking at. So it's kind of like the Saquon Barkley thing. Like inside of the red zone, it really wasn't anything special. You know, I mean, 33 targets into 7 touchdowns, whatever. But he had so many long touchdowns last year. That's why Vegas is like, oh, only 10. But if you're telling me, if he gets the same amount of targets, man, and has an average year, he could get 7 touchdowns in the red zone again. And are you telling me that Jamar Chase is going to get 3+ touchdowns from outside the 20s? I think that's fucking nuts. So I love that. He has reached 10.5 touchdowns, which is the over and under, in 2 of his 4 seasons. And the one year he scored 9 touchdowns in 12 games. So every single year, pretty much, except for one, he would reach this over and under. I don't understand where it's coming from. And he's been getting better each year. Same thing with fucking Joe Burrow, man. So he has a 9.75 receptions to touchdown percentage, which is higher than anyone not named McLaurin and Evans in the top targeted players or whatever. So McLaurin is like at 11%. I think Evans is at 10%. And those are 2 players that are known for their touchdowns. Jamar Chase should be as well. Ranked number 1 on Fantasy Pros TD regression list, like I said earlier. And what they do is they adjust that to their career mean. So they look at the career of Jamar Chase. They look at the average of what he's been doing, and then they adjust what he did last year back down to average. He still would have had a 8.4 reception to touchdown percentage, and it still would have been the number 1 fantasy wide receiver by far. So even if you adjust his progression to regression, he still would have had fucking an elite level reception to touchdown rate, like top 5 pretty much, and the number 1 fantasy football player. So I don't understand that at all. So as far as touchdowns go, Jason, I think that from 17 to 10.5 is extreme. I think that it should be about 13.5, and they are missing the mark here. I agree with a lot of their other stuff, but on Jamar Chase especially, I don't understand where they're getting it. So the targets aren't going anywhere. His touchdown, even if you regress him, he's still getting a ton of touchdowns. I love Jamar Chase's over on TDs this season.
Yeah, this is the big play guy, bro. I think they're going after the Bengals because of how well that they played last year. And there's they have to regress. Like even, I mentioned at the beginning is Joe Burrow is like an elite pocket passer, dude. I mentioned it in other episodes is that he has one of the worst offensive line. If his offensive line just improves a little bit, they're going to probably do even better this upcoming year than they did in 2024. It's pretty crazy. I definitely would take the over on this. I guess this is more of a Bengals episode because the next player is going to be at Bengals as well.
Hey, man, Bengals where it's at, dude, as far as offense. So I'm fine with that. And then let's talk about the yards real fast. So his over and under is set at 1,323. He just had 1,700 yards, which is a lot. But let's look at the stats real fast. He has never failed to reach 1,000 yards. Even when he only played 9 games, he still had 1,000 yards. Only 33% share of teams' air yards. I thought that was huge because I thought that he was going to be in the 40-something percent of the team's air yards. So because he led in targets. So it just showing me that Jason, all of his, he is running all the routes, man, shallow and deep. As far as air yards go, he had fewer percentage of team air yards than Ridley, Neighbors, Sutton, Tyreek Hill, Terry McLaurin, Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown, and none of these players, we haven't seen the stats yet, are being like, dude, from fucking 17, it's just crazy how harshly they are knocking him down. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, dude, like if you look at the regression stats, he's not even in the same category as like a third of the league. So I do not get it. And then I was thinking about, yards after contact. Did he just catch a lot of stuff and get lucky? Maybe somebody slipped or whatever. 3.9 yards after contact per reception. That is fewer than Justin Jefferson, who is not in regression at all. Garrett Wilson, Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, Jerry Jeudy, and there's a ton of other ones. So he was not like crazy as far as like breaking tackles and getting long touchdowns. And also with the team's air yards, like it wasn't just like, hey man, we're just going deep to this guy every single time. And it's just by volume, he will get this. So really, when I'm thinking about regression, I'm looking at these stats for regression. It's not lining up for me at all. So the only thing that lines up to me are the touchdowns in the outside the red zone. Other than that, dude, I don't get where Vegas is getting this. So yeah, I don't think that because Joe Burrow is not Brock Purdy, Brandon Ayuk is not fucking Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins is goddamn better than Deebo Samuel. So I'm just thinking about like we knew the 49ers were going to regress. Their offense was historic. Now we're looking at the Bengals. It's a totally different ball of wax, man. Even the 49ers, their defense gave up like the 28th most points last year. So there was no excuse for the 49ers to regress last year. So I don't know, man. I'm just looking at this. I'm trying to think of reasons why Vegas is knocking them down so much. And I'm like, oh, because you talked about the 49ers before. It's just it's a different team with a lot more talent. So, and their defense fucking sucks, dude. So I don't see where they're getting the regression for the yardage at all.
This one I'm kind of afraid of. I would, if I could, stay away from the yards.
It's not as good as the touchdowns ones. I like the touchdown one better.
I do like the touchdown one. The yards kind of scare me just because he was also first in yards after the catch. And I'm just like thinking right now, I know he took like 3 screen passes like to the yard.
I know that too, Jason. That's why I looked at per attempt because I was like, given the same opportunity, what would other wide receivers do? And he was kind of like not that crazy with it.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit scared on that one.
All right, so you're not betting your home on that one, huh? You're not emptying the Tesla stocks for that, huh?
No, not that one. I want to know that I don't think I feel confident enough to do over or under on the yards.
Okay, I would.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I would do touchdowns like a motherfucker, and then yardage. I would put $50 on that and feel good about it.
5-0.
5-0. All right, Jason, give me somebody.
Hey, let's stay in Cincy. Might as well, man. And let's talk about T. Higgins. And this one's kind of
scary.
This one's kind of scary too. Well, for me at least. So T. Higgins, his stat line, his bet line is 925.5 season receiving yards. I said I'm doing the over on this, but this is my most difficult pick. He has surpassed this line twice in his career. He has Joe Burrow throwing the ball at him on a team that had the highest pass run ratio at 63%, and ratio that will likely continue with a defense as bad as the Bengals. All right. So he's also arguably the best wide receiver 2 in the league. Joe Burrow has thrown over 4,500 yards multiple times in his career, and this offense can support 2 1,000-yard receivers. He's averaged 75 yards a game last season. Do the math. But this is a hard decision because of Higgins' history of injuries. Only 12 games played each of the last 2 seasons. But this is what sold me, Tyler. Wide receivers, they're greedy players, and they want their money, and they want a lot of it. And Higgins' new contract, I've never seen this before. He has a $2 million per game roster bonus.
But it's a franchise tag, right?
No, he didn't get a franchise tag. He got an actual contract. He gets a bonus for staying healthy. So he agreed to this.
Roll me out there. He's all showing up with a fucking broken leg. He's like,
I don't know what he could do. I don't know what players could really do different, but they're actually targeting like, hey man, you've missed a total of 12 games in the last 2 years. We need you on the field. We need you healthy. You do that, we're going to give you money for it. So it's like, I can believe he's going to do whatever he can to get a body like Goku so you can earn that money. He played 17 games in 2022, and he earned 1,042 receiving yards.
Is it a 4-year, $115 million contract? Yeah, 400.
I don't remember.
It's a 4-year, $115 million contract. I thought they franchise tagged him.
No, yeah, he didn't get franchise tag. They gave him and Jamar Chase extensions.
Oh my god! Fuck, that shit's crazy, man.
Yeah. So his comes down to how much you actually believe he's going to stay healthy this year. If you want to take a bet on that, it's in his contract that they will pay him if he can stay healthy and play games. So he averaged 75 receiving yards last year. Times that by, let's say, 17. You got over 928 yards. So I'm doing the over on it.
Damn,
I never
dog.
seen a contract like that before.
That shit's crazy. Man, Bengals are, I mean, with the salary cap going up, it's like, why not? But they better hit on their goddamn defensive draft picks for a while.
Oh, their defense is going to suck. Yeah.
Holy shit. So T. Higgins, man, so you're taking the over, right?
Yeah, this one's
because he got 911 yards and missing 12 to 17 missing 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when you watch T. Higgins play, Jason, I always think of he's a bust. Then I watch a Bengals game, I'm like, fuck, T. Higgins is badass.
Got to trade for him.
Yeah. So, hey, if he stays healthy, he's 1,000 yards in the bag. Yep. When Joe Burrow's throwing for 4,000 plus, and you got to think Jamar Chase is getting at least 1,500 of that. Yeah, I mean he is a guaranteed 1,000 yards.
Would you take that bet though with his history?
Yeah, I mean, okay. Like I said, dude, Jason. I mean, at some point you have to think about injury, and T. Higgins is one of those players. But I mean, in fantasy, I mean, you can't control injuries. So if I was betting right now, which is when you're going to get the best lines, pretty much until you get to the season starts. Like right now is when you make the money, you get the most favorable, whatever I'm trying to say. Yeah, I would just take the gamble on his health and try to get that. And then he didn't have any touchdowns over and under on DraftKings. I don't understand that, but he was fucking on yardage. He had 10 last year, which is insane because so like T. Higgins had 10, Jason, touchdowns in 12 games, and they're like, oh, Jamar Chase over and under is at 10.5. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? You guys are fucking nuts. I don't even understand it.
They'll probably put Higgins like at 7 or 8.
And then, hey, do you have any other players? I can't remember.
Yeah, I got another one.
Is it Davante?
Olaf, he's all saying, you guys talked me into those Cincy bets.
Dude, Cincinnati, I'm telling Olaf, I mean, if you want to take the easy ones, it's the touchdowns. It's the Joe Burrow yards. And, I mean, T. Higgins, if he stays healthy, I don't know how the fuck he doesn't get 1,000 yards. So, those were like the guaranteed, but I like all of them. Is it Davante Adams your next, Jason?
Davante Adams, Tyler, 8.5 season receiving touchdowns. I did the over. Okay. And let me break out these like crazy stats right here. Since 2016, he's had 6 seasons over 8 touchdowns. He has 100 receiving touchdowns since 2015. That's number one. Number one. During that span, Cooper Kupp in this offense has been in the top 10 for red zone targets 4 times, okay, which is a perfect fit for Davante Adams. In 2024, Adams led the NFL in target share inside the red zone at 37%. He had like 2 or 3 different quarterbacks last year. In 2023, he was first in the league in red zone target share at 38%, and that was another season where he had like 2 or 3 different quarterbacks. 2022, fourth in red zone target share at 31%. He had 14 touchdowns that year. Should I go on? 2021, he was still a top 10 in red zone target share. 2020, number one in red zone target share at 42%. Adams has always been the targeted man player in the red zone. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. And Stafford has a history of targeting slot wide receivers in the red zone near the touchdown. I think this one is another easy one. We actually talked about this before, Tyler. Davante Adams is known for touchdowns in the red zone.
And what do you think about Puka Nacua? Like, I haven't looked at the red zone stats, but when I think about Puka Nacua, I don't think red zone touchdowns. I think outside the 20s. And I think of, more as Kyron Williams and Cooper Kupp inside the 20. So it's really not Puka Nacua's role in my mind. I need to look at the stats more.
Yeah, his touchdown, Puka Nacua's touchdowns, I think he only has like 11 total in his career, which is crazy to think about. But yeah, he hasn't been really the touchdown guy. I don't think he has more than 6.
And then his over and under for yards is at 1,000, and he's only hit 1,000 yards. What, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of like 10 years? So half the time he's not getting 1,000 yards. How do you feel about his yardage, Jason? I'm just wondering.
I mean, you just kind of said it. I think I know he got a lot of yards when he played for the Raiders because Derek Carr was just like bombing it to him like every time. But he's a touchdown guy. He's a guy that you can rely on when it comes to the red zone, to the goal line. Is Davante Adams.
And that's how I feel. I think I would not bet on his yardage, but his touchdowns, Jason, for sure I'd bet on the over. That's how I feel too.
Yeah.
And as far as fantasy drafts, Davante Adams in the 4th round, or is that too high?
Oh, bro, if he's there, it'll be the first time I'm drafting this guy in like 4 years.
So you like him in the 4th?
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
If I can get him I think he has to be in the 4th round or later for me, because that's when I start gambling, or that's when I start rolling the dice on some players.
Yep. Well, that's where Cooper Kupp went last year. Was like the 4th round.
Yeah, and he's gonna be better than Cooper Kupp was last year. That's fucking for sure. And Cooper Kupp had goddamn 100 targets, 6 touchdowns last year. So.
And Adams is more durable. He has been more durable. So.
And then real quick, Jason, I do want to. I forgot to, because I was talking about Jamar Chase, and Jamar Chase was a Triple Crown, and I was thinking about who was the last Triple Crown and how did they do the following year.
Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp, 140 or 190 targets, where Jamar Chase had 175, led the league. Almost 2,000 yards. That went down, and 16 touchdowns. That went down to 6 touchdowns and 800 yards because he only played 9 games the following season and was fucking injured. So you can't even. As far as I took Adrian Peterson, I could use that as an example for Saquon Barkley. You can't use the Triple Crown winner Cooper Kupp because he was injured the next year, and you cannot predict injuries, Jason. But yeah, he's only had double-digit touchdowns twice in his season in his career. I thought that was kind of crazy too. Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
But Davante Adams, Jason, 8.5 touchdowns. Give me the goddamn the over for that. No problem at all, man.
You want to do a little bonus one real quick?
Yeah, well, 1 second, since I kind of just wanted to get your opinion on all of the players real fast.
Oh, okay. Got it.
So DK Metcalf, 875.
Under.
I wouldn't bet on DK Metcalf at all. 875 yards, Jason. I would just I wouldn't take the over or under, man. I would just say, hey, I'm not doing it. So
yeah.
The thing is that he had almost 1,000 yards last year, and it was a disaster. And now they're going to say he's doing worse. So I was like, okay. But the one thing, though, Jason, is that you and I both know, man, he should get a lot more touchdowns. They're going to say he's going to get more touchdowns as a Steeler than he did in Seattle last year. And I wouldn't bet against that. He only had 5 touchdowns last year.
If it's 5 touchdowns, if that's like the betting line, then I think I would definitely.
7.5 is the betting line.
7.5. I might take that one.
I think the touchdowns are way more reasonable, but I would stay away from the yardage on that.
Oh my gosh, I don't know who's quarterback.
I don't know.
Is it Mason Rudolph or
Shedeur Sanders, dog? So that's probably what's going to happen. And then Saquon Barkley we went over, and now we only have a quarterback. So who do you have?
Oh, I was going to Jalen Hurts rushing touchdowns for next year.
What did he get last year?
Okay, so I was just looking at this. And 2024, he led the league with 14. 2023, he led the league with 15.
Yeah,
And
he
then
gets 15 every year, doesn't he?
And then 2022 led the league with 13. So at least 13 the last 2 years.
Now, what would you set us over and under at? Like 11 and a half?
If it's 11, I would say yes. I would say do the over on that.
I just spoke about Saquon. I mean, he got 10 touchdowns off of Saquon Barkley getting tackled at the 1 yard line.
Yeah,
this is crazy. So
they love that tush push, man.
Dude, I know, but at the same time, I would stay away from the Jalen Hurts because even though I would say over on 11 and a half, I wouldn't be surprised if it went under. You know what I'm saying? I think it's about a 50-50 bet. And I want the 60-50 bet or 60
right. Okay.
60-40.
If we're going with 11, I think I could feel confident with doing over.
And then Jason, how do you feel about Jaden Daniels taking a step back? Do you think he's going to take a step back passing?
Then they just give this guy more protection.
They got Laramie Tunsil, and they got 2 more wide receivers. Do you think he's going to take a step back?
No. I see.
Do you know why?
Steps forward.
And do you know why Vegas is think he's going to take a step back? Can you think of the example from this last year?
Is it because of the defense? Is it improving?
CJ Stroud just took a fat dump, right?
Yeah, look at that line that he had, and
exactly. So Jaden Daniels has a better offensive coordinator, and now a better offensive line. Even with they took the best offensive lineman from CJ Stroud, for God's sakes. So yeah, dude, I am thinking that Jaden Daniels. Give me the over on 3,300 yards. I think that's easy. And then over and under on touchdowns, 23.5. You got 25 this last year. Terry McLaurin's touchdown rate was insane.
Mm-hmm.
I would not mess with the touchdowns. Give me the yardage on Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. I'm okay with him actually still doing 25, 23, 22 touchdowns because, Tyler, he gets rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. And that's okay. That's fine by me in fantasy football for my quarterback.
And then over and under for Patrick Mahomes, Jason, do you think he's going to take a small step forward again, or do you think he's going to be pretty similar? Rashee Rice, we don't know when he's coming back. Xavier Worthy entering his second year. He's not getting suspended. His girlfriend is, his wife. So everybody should be there. And, I mean, Kelsey's coming back as well. So I probably would not mess with the yardage, and I wouldn't mess with Patrick Mahomes at all, dude.
There's got to be some changes. I think Andy Reid's going to probably want to go back to the does he go back to the golden days where he was airing it and like 50 touchdowns, winning Super Bowls? They didn't win a Super Bowl last year.
They made it. I don't think they're going to change much because they made it.
Can you say they barely made it? They have like 8 games that came down to a ref decision.
I know, dude. I know. So, and part of the problem here, Jason, is their defense is always going to be good. So it's like I just wouldn't mess with Patrick Mahomes at all. Give me Joe Burrow. Give me Lamar Jackson. Give me even maybe Sam Darnold as far as unders on some stuff. But Josh Allen, I wouldn't mess with. And Patrick Mahomes, I would not mess with. They're the quarterbacks with the most history here. And they're very consistent as far as year to year as well. So I wouldn't mess with that. All right, Jason, I think we actually covered every single player available on DraftKings then.
Yeah. I wish there was more, but hey, maybe they'll add more as the year goes on.
And again, hey guys, remember, so we're going to use Vegas to compare our rankings to this next season because Vegas, I mean, God, dude, they just win no matter what, okay? So again, we're going to take all these, we're going to put them in a table, figure out the fantasy points for them, and I'm going to sort by and then compare them to what our rankings are, and we're going to get a good idea of what fantasy players to target this next year. So that will be coming up in the future whenever they fill in all of their players, you know, for individual bets or whatever, future bets. But anyways, hey, man, I learned a lot about players this year just from doing this exercise right now. Like, who does Vegas think is going to take a step back? Who does Vegas think is going to go do better than what they did? So, yeah, I actually really enjoyed this. Hopefully you guys did as well, man. Again, I think the Bengals are the team to target. Saquon Barkley, man, target him as well. As if he's healthy, I don't understand how that's not a fucking slam dunk.
Who are you taking as number 1 overall, Barkley or Chase?
Oh, Saquon Barkley.
Barkley. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
because Corian. I'm going back to my roots, dog. Every single year, I always take running backs over wide receivers. And again, I wish I would have done that this last year. So, but the difference between wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2 is larger than wide receiver than running back 1, running back 2. Jamar Chase, dude, compared to Justin Jefferson, holy shit, dude. Give me just like Jamar Chase is exponentially better than Justin Jefferson because of his quarterback situation. So, would I blame anybody for taking Jamar Chase? I think that's actually the better bet, probably. But I'm going running back, dog.
I'd go Chase.
See, he had 4. I think he averaged 4 fantasy points more, whereas than any other running back. I think Saquon maybe 2 fantasy points more than any other running back. So yeah, your advantage is 2-fold more points with Jamar Chase. But again, the scarcity of running back kind of makes it different. So that's probably what I would do. Chase, see Olaf. Olaf knows what's up, man. Corian, but you're like, you guys are idiots, man. Give me Saquon Barkley.
Yep. Derrick Henry. All right, we at that
and
time.
Again, hey, real fast, I do want to say, going through all this, Derrick Henry, man, is still a great draft pick. If I could get him in top 5, I would.
Yeah, I'm hoping I get him again.
All right, guys, hey, that is the show. Thank you so much for watching, all right? Hopefully we earned a thumbs up. Hopefully we earned a subscription because we need that shit, okay? And, hey, if you have any over and unders for us, put them down below. You can make up your own, man. We'll probably comment back. But again, look for the future because we're going to be doing this. We're going to be hitting this hard in the before the season starts so we can get our best bet, man, to win a league. That's what we're trying to do here. So we're going to use Vegas to win leagues next year. That's what we're doing. Jason, please send us out.
All right. Well, we're going to be here different day next Friday. Same time, though. 6 o'clock. Come join us. A couple broskies with brewskis. And we'll talk football. I'll talk to you guys in that video. Deuces.
This is the Fantasy Red Zone, and we appreciate you. Did you like that, Jason?
Yeah.
Did I do a good job?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't